It's always so strange doing a little intro, but
Yeah, no,
well,
of course.
welcome back to DisClaymer. I don't even like the intro. I might cut the intro. Who knows? I'm gonna keep all this in, but
Yeah.
today super fun guest today for you guys. One of my friends that I've actually met in person. As you can see, he's on the screen. His name is Noah Olson, aka High Vibe Noah. He and I, hold on. Let me try to get this super set. I think that should be super set. All right, we're good. Um, so today we got Noah. I want to give Noah a chance to kind of jump in, give him a little background about himself, and then we can jump into how we met, which is kind of a cool and crazy story. And we'll go from there. So Noah, go for it. Give me a little juice. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Like,
Yeah, man. 100%. Yeah. Well, man, what can I say? Like most people grew up, pretty normal, At least I think. I don't know. All right, let's get the giggles out, Well, for anybody who doesn't know me, I am Noah, and I'm on Instagram, High Vibe Noah. Don't at me or at me, up to you. But I'll leave that for you to decide. But no, I've been into the holistic health stuff for well, let's see, for going on 7+ years now. Um, you know, um, whole really how I got into this was a girl actually told me in high school that she only dates bigger guys, and so that kind of sent me spinning, as you could imagine. Any guy uh, growing up, first girl he's got a crush on, absolutely devastating, and so started doing steroids. No, no,
yes, you
learned about
did.
like creatine, protein shakes, all that stuff, and started going down some rabbit holes. Eventually, came across like some of the OG biohackers like Dave Asprey, and eventually led to a whole host of other ones. But mainly, just learning about herbs, stuff like that. Lo and behold, tried some out, and I'm like, wow, this is kind of cool. But somewhere along the lines, I also really got into dieting, and so I started out was really into the ketogenic diet, did that for like 2.5 years. And then from there, kind of transitioned out as more information was coming to me, which I feel like, I don't know, we could go on a whole side tangent with that, but keto for me was not it. It put my body into a place that I did not like. And so I eventually kind of saw the light at the end of the tunnel via good old fruit and just getting back on the carb train and got into the best shape of my life. Along the lines too, I actually started a supplement company, so still kind of doing that. Sold my first company when I was 21, thank God. uh you know just been just experimenting daily, try to at least, at least you know just being open. And I'm sure, Clay, you could speak to this too, but literally I've been humiliated, or rather humbled, um whether personally or just from seeing somebody else's experiences, maybe their failures or even their successes, and taking that into consideration for my own habits and routines and whatnot. But what can I say? I'm truly thankful for the opportunity to be here to share. So yeah, man, that's a little bit about me.
Dude, that's so cool. I appreciate it. So
Yeah.
I want to ask you a couple questions, but I feel like first we got to touch on how we met, which is kind of a cool story. I'll jump in and you kind of fill in the gaps. I feel like
Yep.
that's a good way to kind of jump in. So as you guys know, I create a little bit of content. Noah does the same. He had a supplement company and or he talked about his first supplement company, and then he also has something else that he'll talk more about eventually. But I reached out to Noah on Instagram because, one of us reached out to who, or the other person, I don't know. But we saw like we were in like the same area basically, and I was like, I don't know if I think I might have reached out to you, and I was like, you live in Boynton Beach? I'm in West Palm. Like, dude, let's hang out.
Right.
So I worked at Restore Hyper Wellness, which is just a wellness center. You guys probably saw it's like basically a biohacking facility. They got like tons of red light and stuff like that. And I was super nervous. I mean, I'm a little bit of an introvert, but I invited Noah to come to my work because I was like, you know what? Good place to meet other people. I'm in a comfortable spot. Like, and luckily that day we were pretty like not, or we weren't that busy.
Yeah.
And anyway, so Noah walks in the door. We immediately just like link up. Um, and I was like, yo, let me show you around. So I was
Yeah.
like showing you around. But I wasn't really giving you like the official tour because I was just like, oh, that's this. But we were talking about like how cool it was for us to meet in person. And
Yup.
then
Right.
like we kind of jumped into like both of our stories. And I told you I had shoulder surgery and I had like an issue with my foot as well.
Mhm.
And I was like talking to you about different things. We are probably talking about Rogan. I remember a couple stories you told me about Rogan, which were pretty cool. And then
Yeah.
and then yeah, then you were just telling me like spitting supplements out and we were just like talking like
Yeah.
basically just breaking the ice and kind of like um
Mhm.
yeah, just chit-chatting.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
then obviously like you do some services at our place and we're hanging out. I think you ended up staying till like the end of the day, which like you
Right.
came like one
Past
o'clock.
close. Yeah, we were hanging
Yeah.
out there for a while. Yeah. We were the last ones
Yeah.
to leave, I remember that night too. And it started off pretty like, pretty casual, I guess, pretty chill, but I mean, hey, dude, we got pretty deep, I'll never forget those conversations we had, and that was just the first day too, but and then of course just meeting, some other people who worked there as well, who were like-minded and just like I feel like we created a really positive environment there, a really high vibe.
Yeah. A high vibe environment. But I wanted to
Yeah.
get to the fact towards the end of the conversation. I mean, obviously, like we were digging deep. Like we were like really getting to know each other and just like I don't know, just like I
Yeah.
asked you where you were from and like why you're down here, what you're doing for work and stuff. And then
Mhm.
at the end of the conversation, you were like, hold on, don't leave yet. And I was like, yo, what do you got in the store? And then you came in and or we went out to your car or something, and you gave me your supplement.
Yeah,
Shilajit.
100%. Absolutely. So for anybody who doesn't know, uh, you know, Clay and I use supplements.
Yeah.
No, for sure. I think it's a common misnomer that supplements either don't work or that there's no reason to be taking them. Personally, that hasn't been my experience. I eat religiously. I mean, I'm sure, I know you're the same way. Like we both eat extremely healthy. And dude, I don't know. For some reason, there's something about this. It's a super rare mineral pitch for people who don't know. I guess I should probably explain Shilajit. It comes from the Sanskrit word meaning conqueror of mountains and destroyer of weakness. So it's commonly touted for boosting testosterone levels, but that's honestly like just the tip of the iceberg. And how it's formed is basically tectonic plates shift over time and basically push all of the plant debris and organic materials through mountain cracks. And during the summer, when it's extra hot, you'll see it oozing out of these rocks. And, people have been basically mining for this. It's one of the rare substances too, which is a whole nother subject, but for literally centuries. It dates back to the earliest recollection historians have is from the Sharaka Samahita, which is approximately like 4,600 years old. So we're talking like 2,600 AD or something. It's crazy, but so they've got over 16 human clinical trials people can look up and look into a whole bunch of different benefits. If I could sit here and read the whole list and people just it would fly over people's head. It's literally one of those substances that truly is on par with like and I know a lot of people throw this word out there, but like superfoods, it's up there in terms of nutrient density with the best. You name it. Like, I believe that there's a place for, your grass-fed steaks, your liver, your raw dairy, your fruits, and a little bit of veg. But I mean, dude, two of these tablets a day, literally for like pennies on the dollar, you can like boost your energy levels, skyrocket your mental clarity, hormones, all that stuff. And it's just super cell protective, which I like too, because I want something I can take long term. And so for me, it's been a game changer.
Is it found in North America?
It is. It's naturally found in mountain ranges all over the world. I'm so glad you asked. That's a great question. So we actually sought out the best Shilajit in the world, which actually comes from the Golden Altai Mountains of Siberia. So in between Mongolia, Kazakhstan, and Russia, there's these extremely rare, mountain ranges that are just untouched from human civilization. And villagers still use the traditional methods for extracting and purifying. It's a five-stage proprietary process, basically, that they go through. So a lot of Shilajit in the world comes from the Himalayas, namely because that's where it was popularized. But the Himalayas, unfortunately, just because they're commercialized, are extremely polluted. Or rather, the end result becomes extremely polluted just from man-made contamination and whatnot, and just the dysbiosis of regulation there. There's just not a whole lot of oversight, and so what we do is we actually do a dual third-party lab test panel. So you can check it on our website. It's publicly available. We literally can honestly say we have the purest and best Shilajit in the world.
What's the traditional like method? You said it was like there's like a five-step tradition, like five-step method or whatever. What's
Yeah,
what does that look like?
absolutely. Yeah. So, well, it's beautiful too, and they still do it to this day, literally, but they use spring water. First it's extracted from the mountains, in which it's usually like a raw ore, and there's different types. So there's different grades of Shilajit. Ours just happens to be the best. It's gold grade. So there's different colors of ore, and they do different specific things. But we use the black ore mostly, and so what they do is they basically use spring water to basically filter it down, at least reduce a lot of the sediment. And then what they'll do is they'll slowly process it and then put it through sieves, like basically extreme like filters to filter out all the other contaminants. And then what they do is then at that point you're left with the resin, which then has to harden. And so there's a couple different methods that companies will use. The worst one being they'll use like microwaves to basically
Mm.
heat it up, which destroys a lot of the bioactive compounds. And then the other method is the traditional method, which we do, which is the sun dried. So literally charged by the sun. I mean, it's you know, like alchemy. It's purely the best. And it's one of those things too where I first found out about this actually when I used to work at a natural health food store. And one of my associates, brought it to my attention that like this thing boosts testosterone. Like, dude, gotta check it out. I'm like, okay, cool. And then I put it off for years until literally just probably about a year and a half ago, came back into my awareness and I started taking it and I'm like, wow. And it was one of those things where I've had these moments before where like I'm like, people have got to be trying this. Like, at that time, it's really just now started gaining in popularity, but so yeah, it's awesome. I love it. People who try it, they take it, they feel it within a few days. The best results are seen 2 to 3 weeks, but really all the studies show like 3 months, 90 days. That's where like test levels start to soar. So you can see, free testosterone levels. Um, they will raise like 24%, which is pretty profound. And what that can do for a guy too, especially, in terms of motivation, productivity, just that mental edge, being able to concentrate on things, focus for long periods of time. It does so naturally and it raises dopamine, which is super cool. So dopamine, one of our key neurotransmitters found in our brain, does all those things I just mentioned. And it also increases your awareness and it helps to increase muscle tone. So they've actually shown as well, there's a study which was actually shown in healthy male volunteers, basically that it increased muscle strength and also increased a little bit muscle gains as well, which is a lesser known benefit. And it does so through actually working on an epigenetic level, increases genes associated with muscle protein synthesis, helping to increase big levers for muscle growth like insulin-like growth factor, which is basically one of our body's main drivers for muscle growth and repair. And then it also increases collagen production, which is like a 12-fold X increase. So, massive benefits there for joints, connective tissues, hair, skin, nails, you name it, across the board. Anti-aging, absolutely. We have barely scratched the surface.
So I want to obviously chat about other things. I appreciate it. I have a couple
Yeah,
couple of questions about it. Obviously, I want to chat about other things too, but
of
just out
course.
of curiosity, like you mentioned men. So is this something women should be taking too? How-
Yeah, dude, excellent question. Spot on. So, not only does it increase free and total testosterone in men, but it's also able to increase the female equivalent. And it actually does so. I left this part out, but now that you asked the question, it also increases DHEA, which is actually the precursor to our other hormones such as testosterone, but also estrogen for women. And so it's also been shown to boost DHEA at the equivalent amount, like what, 29%, I think it was, which is absurd. It's like a, you know, massive increase, which is going to have downstream positive benefits on your other beneficial hormones, like the ones I've already mentioned, testosterone and estrogen for women. So yes, and like I mentioned, it boosts collagen production, super great for skin, any sort of issues there. And it's going to help you just look and feel amazing.
That's awesome. I
Yeah,
appreciate it. So
100%.
I guess there's one last general question that will
Yeah.
maybe lead us into other topics.
Mhm.
But you know how they say like kind of eat local type thing, kind of like buy by, local farmer type thing. So
Yeah.
if you're taking this and it's from across the world, I mean, obviously it's going to be effective. Is it more effective to be taking it like a local Shilajit?
That's a good question. Well, I can't definitively give you a yes or no answer to that. What I would say is that versus a food, which, of course, is extremely intelligent. These foods, as literally PubMed studies you can look up right now, have certain, whatever you want to call them, plant genes that are turned on or off depending on what latitude, longitude they're found. Something like this, I mean, essentially is, it's mostly inorganic and organic minerals and other compounds which we can talk about. But I mean, these are generally across the board going to have beneficial effects. And actually, how it does so, which I love so much, again, because our genes are important, but the key mediator of those is our epigenome. And so, what the chemical constituents found in Shilajit do is they actually, on a genetic level, help to increase the proliferation of beneficial gut bacteria. But it also contains these things which are known as urolithins, which it's grown in popularity because scientists have found they're extremely anti-aging and they're extremely beneficial for our cells' mitochondria. So they actually help our cells to not only produce more ATP, more energy, but they also help to increase the mitophagy or the recycling of old, decayed mitochondria. So, from just a high level overview, I mean, these are going to have profound beneficial effects, like I said, on an epigenetic level. Whether you're taking Shilajit from across the world, really what I think it comes down to is the purity of it and, make sure that you're getting from a good, high quality source. In this case, like, again, we're talking about, mostly inorganic and some organic materials. So it's like, versus, getting a steak, right? Or, of course, I want to be supporting my local community, which something like this you really can't obtain easily in most regions of the world.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So you said urolithins, right?
Urolithins, yes.
Urolithins.
Yeah.
Is that in any food that we eat? Or what
It,
is
yes.
what
It's,
do you know?
yeah, of course, absolutely. So it's, I'll say honestly, the most commonly found source of urolithins are from pomegranates.
Huh.
But there's a caveat that our cell or our gut, rather, has to convert. It's called ellaganic acid. I probably butchered that, but basically, it's the chemical constituent found in the pomegranates that our gut bacteria actually then have to digest and convert into the urolithins that our bodies can then use. So it's a process, and what scientists have shown is that not everybody's efficient at doing that.
Hmm.
So that's where using something like this is extremely beneficial because not only is it going to help to increase the beneficial gut bacteria, it also contains the raw urolithins themselves. And these are also, well, again, I've hinted at there's a few different main chemical constituents. The urolithins being one, another one being fulvic acid, which fulvic acid we could do a whole show on literally is, well, if basically, to simplify it, it comes down to your cells do two things, really. Get nutrients into the cell and take toxins out. fulvic acid basically increases that conversion. So it helps to get nutrients deeper into the cell because it's a very small particulate. And so it can penetrate deeply into the inner membrane of the cells. And it also acts as an electron donor, which basically just means it's going to help speed up your metabolism. Okay, so you're going to see a whole host of benefits there. But then also too, it helps to detoxify. So it's been shown, and literally they use this in environments that have been heavily polluted because you can get access to just the pure fulvic acid pretty easily. But basically, it helps to pull out heavy metals, you name it, cadmium, arsenic, mercury, lead, and it has a bunch of modulatory effects as well. But what I also really love is that Shilajit's a great source of trace minerals. Now, not in like the amounts you'd get from like say eating a whole steak, but it doesn't need to because that's what food is for, right? And so what I see this as is a supplement to that. And namely the minerals are also in the actual divine ratios. So they're, completely balanced, and that's hard to find, especially from taking like magnesium supplements, zinc supplements. All these over the counter supplements are just isolated, basically fragments because they don't contain the complementary minerals to help balance it out, which could lead to downstream negative effects, which you don't want. So I love the Shilajit personally. I take it also because, you ready for this? So not only does it contain the urolithins and the fulvic acid, it also contains something known as carbon 60. And what's so cool about carbon 60 is there's a study that actually looks at there's only three natural sources of carbon 60, one of them being from meteorites, the other one being from ancient ammonite crustaceans, and the third one being shilajit. So profound, pretty cool.
Whoa,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah, and you're not going to get that from your diet. So, people tell me all the time, well, uh, why should I take a supplement? I'm like, well, there's really cool ingredients that you just wouldn't normally get from your diet. And, I believe in, holistic lens, which means you just using everything to our advantage. So I believe that Shilajit absolutely is truly is a game changer. Anybody I feel like who's tried it personally has had positive effects, I'll just say. So, of course, there's going to be people who, like I mentioned, it has a gut modulatory effect. So while it's helping to increase your own native bacteria species, it's also helping to reduce endotoxin or basically a bad gut bacteria. So you can have a Herxheimer reaction to that. Basically, it's a symptom, or it's a symptom of basically your body detoxing. So, people can notice like maybe some gut discomfort at first, but usually it settles and then is gone within a few days, up to a week.
Huh. That's
Yeah,
interesting. Is it painful?
absolutely, dude. No, 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 not. It's just,
Okay.
one of those things where, it's like, ah, man, kind of just, I don't know, feel like my gut's a little rambunctious, or you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. I compare it to like when I first started eating really healthy, and at first my gut, like especially when I started eating vegetables, dude. Oh my God, dude, I had terrible gas and like bloating, bro. Like
Mhm.
terrible. You know what I mean? Like not even close to that degree, but I'm just saying, like that was my body's like detox reaction. You know what I mean? Like literally to broccoli and which some of these can have some negative ramifications if overdone, which I definitely did, but yeah. So
Hmm.
nothing like that at all. And honestly, that's very rare, rarely happens. So
All right. I just have
yeah.
also so one last question
Yeah.
about the Shilajit, and then we can kind of
Yeah.
jump into some other things. I
Yeah.
want to get into your business, but
Yeah.
and how you yeah. So
Yeah,
how
for sure.
bi how bioavailable is Shilajit?
Oh, dude. It's so good of a question, man. I love that question, bro. So that's the thing. Like literally, dude, it's extremely bioavailable. It's all these minerals are ionic, so our bodies can use them readily, but it's not even the minerals. And so the unique benefit to Shilajit is literally, and this is like the highest level. This is like the end all be all, I guess, in terms of the Shilajit rabbit hole, and you're getting it right now. Is the carbon 60 is actually it's a dibenzo A pyrone carbon 60 conjugate. So basically, the urolithins that I mentioned are bound to carbon 60, which carbon 60, I didn't even talk about, literally won a Nobel Peace Prize. This is a molecular soccer ball, basically, that targets our cells' mitochondria, and it acts as an antioxidant again. So, dude, they've shown carbon 60 literally mops up inflammation, like literally pulls oxidative stress right out of the body. Like if you could think of a detoxer for just inflammation, carbon 60 is the best thing for it. And then you couple that with the fact that it's bound to the urolithin. So it's like, dude, you've got all these ultra stable antioxidants that form super antioxidants. This is out of literal scientific literature. It's unbelievable.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Pretty unprecedented, honestly. You know, so,
So,
there's a lot of brands hyping it up for good reason, but there's so much that people don't even know. And so when people say like, oh yeah, it's a test booster, well, yes, it is. And it's a good source of trace minerals. Well, yes, sure. I'd rather eat six eggs whole than rely on Shilajit for my micronutrient targets. You know what I mean? But
mm,
the reason you would take it is for these super stable, ultra powerful super antioxidants.
hmm,
Yeah, yeah.
oh,
Hmm.
interesting.
Yeah.
So, so why did you choose Shilajit? Like, and you mentioned you had a
Mhm.
supplement company a while ago. Like, why did you choose Shilajit over protein
Yeah.
powder?
Dude, great question. Honestly, well, here's the thing. Again, I'm a huge proponent of diet. Like, dude, first and foremost, diet is like, dude, I used to be like orthorexic, how fucking, excuse my French, but how crazy I was with this stuff. Like, seriously, to the point where I drove myself nuts. Like avoiding social outings, social gatherings, like eating out with, that just was off the table. No pun intended, but it was. And, I literally pulled the tablecloth off. No food unless it was keto, low carb, unless it was organic, grass fed. Like, dude, I've been there and that was not a great place to be at either. And so, dude, just coming back now, it's like, wow, there really are some powerful tools out there. And so, first and foremost, I stand by getting the bulk of my nutrition from diet. But then implementing some, very cool herbs and supplements. Of course, I feel like I'm just, but it's so true, and we could get into all the other stuff. I've got it right here, but so for people listening to this, like, I hope that you at least find this interesting. And I'm not saying like, you have to, use Shilajit to feel your best. That's not at all what I'm saying. I'm saying I was able to achieve my best without it, and then I finally incorporated it and experienced even more benefits.
Whoa, that's
Yeah.
super interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
so talk to us a little bit more about like that phase or that season of your life where you were not eating out, super stressed out about, whether it's grass-fed, pasture raised and all that.
Yep.
Obviously, there's a lot of people in the world that are like, I mean, there's people that are fear-mongering on the internet that are like pushing like all the pushing like all these different things like take this, otherwise you're not enough in the world. What was that transition like out of that? Obviously, it was
Mm-hmm.
probably slow for you. I mean, I'm assuming it was probably slow, not like a you woke up one day and you're like, I'm done. I'm gonna go eat out tomorrow and I'm gonna eat some seed oils. What was that transition like for you?
Dude, uh, the way you pose that is excellent. That's great. Dude, well, I'll still say straight up, I'm a day one seed oil offender. Like, I still do not mess with seed oils whatsoever. Like, dude, if you've got seed oils, like, stay away. Like, but no,
Really?
well, I'd rather not ingest those personally, but, obviously, like, yeah, I will say though, like, yeah, to go back to your actual question, like, uh, dude, I mean, like you said, it was more so just kind of a fixation or an obsession. And
Mm,
we all know people who are like weirdly obsessed with things and they're weird, you know what I mean? And diet is one of those things. And it's actually like more common than you think because obviously we need to eat and, versus like we don't need to know, the whole stat team of the Boston Red Sox. Like there's people who are so just tunnel it in on certain things. Food is an easy one because we all need it. And so for me, I grew up watching Paul Saladino. I grew up Dave Asprey. Trying to figure out stuff on my own, and it all came from a good place. I'm sure there was probably some, circumstances beyond my knowing that were also impacting and influencing what I was doing. But at the time, I was really into just health, and just really passionate about like, I'm going to do this with my life, and around me, that was not the case. And so, I feel like contrast therapy is the real thing, and especially immersion therapy too. Just getting fully immersed in something. So I think your audience will totally relate to this and love it. But I actually was in a fraternity at the University of Iowa for not long, but basically, people would be partying in the house and doing all that stuff, and I was totally into that. But eventually, I just like hit a point where I stopped. I hit a wall basically with it, where I cut alcohol out of my life for a long period and was completely clean with my diet and what I was eating, and I would cook my meals in the kitchen by myself. Like people would poke at me and make all sorts of jokes, which at the time I was like, but like now they're kind of funny. I'm sure there were some zingers thrown around, but I think anybody who gets into this probably does it for the right reasons, but you just gotta also make sure you're getting good information too, because I'm like I told you, dude, 2.5 years spent eating less than 30 grams of carbohydrates a day, which to put that into perspective now, I'm probably pushing like 300 at least. And for me, again, it was a total game changer. So bringing it back, honestly, I learned about like truly how to fix your metabolism and like, what you need to be optimal in today's society, especially, which, dude, I'm not going to, but we could go down another Shilajit rabbit hole. I do believe, dude, it's also been shown to help against EMF. So if you're trying to mitigate radiation from your devices, from tech, I'm surrounded by it with at my day job, so it's absolutely something for me as a must. I don't take it every day, but uh, I digress. So going back to the restaurant thing, though, I mean, dude, honestly, it just came a point where I realized there's like, you know, uh, no point in really being so anal with my diet when, I feel great already. And I found a place, I struck a nice balance, I guess you could call it, with like just carbs, in my life again. And that really was what did it for me. I realized once I introduced the carbs again, dude, I had hampered my metabolism so bad doing keto that bringing back the carbs literally gave me so much life. I'm like, dude, I could do anything. So yeah, I'm sure it kind of was. So ironically, like the next day I woke up and was like, dude, I'm gonna go have some sushi or something, honestly, because I had lived in a under a rock for so long.
So what's one piece of advice you'd give to your younger self?
Whew. Man, let's see here. Eat more carbs. Eat more
Really?
carbs. Yeah, to that version of myself, definitely. That was probably one of the biggest things holding me back.
Mm.
Honestly, was like on a daily basis, just feeling sluggish, feeling low, not knowing why, feeling like I was doing all the right things. But hey, dude, like how I started off this podcast, absolutely humiliated the day I started eating carbs again. Realized how good I felt, never went back. Dude, and another thing too, fasting for me was massive, dude. I've got pictures of myself. I look castrated because I was doing so much fasting. My skin, like, dude, everything looked like on the outside good, but I know myself and I could see myself like internally in pain and suffering for no reason. Like, dude, literally just pushing it to the limits too much, too often. And so that, of course, is going to have deleterious effects in and of itself. But, gaining muscle has always been an issue for me. Going back to how I got into all this, my crush breaking my heart, breaking my soul with, the one liner, I only date big guys. Like, dang, dude. So, for all the guys out there, though, like, dude, that was what I needed to really get where I needed to get an idea of where I wanted to be so that I could do what I needed to do to get to where I want to go.
Mm. That's
Yeah,
good. That's really good.
for sure. Yeah. I mean, we all know people like, the ex-girlfriends out there that are just getting people to go to the gym and, work out really hard. So, um, just don't let a benefit become a detriment. Sorry, that's
It's
kind of hard to follow, bro, but shit.
no,
You
that was a really good, like eloquent way to say that. It's interesting because I think a lot of people, including myself, have struggled with like the trying to be healthy and then also trying to have a life and being free
Mhm,
and feeling at peace. And it's challenging.
mhm,
Obviously, it's doable, and everybody's kind of going through like their own health journey, health story type thing.
mhm.
For somebody struggling to eat out, or is very like regimented and they won't eat past a certain time, or they're intermittent fasting and they won't eat breakfast or whatever, something like that. Or they're like super keto or something like that. What's something that you would advise that person to kind of do besides like, give themselves grace a little bit? But what kind of piece of advice would you give that person to be like, it's okay, it's basically not be perfect? Because I think a lot of health to some extent is chasing perfection in some elements. What what would you recommend to that person struggling?
Yeah, absolutely. So first thing you got to understand is extreme dieting is just yo-yoing your metabolism. So, the benefits that you first felt, remember, don't let a benefit become a detriment. Those benefits you felt at first could later lead to your detrimental health consequences if uh, don't have, adequate self-awareness or people around you. I guess it really does just come down to a lot of times people in those situations are just going to have to learn the hard way, learn themselves. But I'll just say again, like, you know, don't hop on board to any diet fads. Like, the keto thing came and went, and I thought it was going to stay. Like, I thought I was going to be keto for life, dude. Like, straight up. It was a diet cult, though. And that's what it is. And so, whatever it is, honestly, there's all of you name them, animal based, like, yeah, for sure, absolutely. Of course, there's really good sentiments and strings to pull from all those. And like, I definitely lean more towards that animal based, which, everybody watching this should know, but if they don't, it's like the opposite of plant based. So you base your diet around animal based foods like meats, diet or dairy, cheeses, and fruit. And for me, that was the missing link, honestly. Getting fruit back into my diet. I used to look at fruit as like cancer causing, bro. Like straight up. Like I was eating the mainstream keto propaganda. And like meanwhile, getting into some other really cool stuff. And I do believe that there's of value in being metabolically flexible, being able to burn both fat and carbohydrates for energy. I've also now been introduced into these ketone shots. Are you aware of these?
No.
Oh, dude, I'm telling you, dude, another like just killer, dude. It's like, dude, having access to the things we have, it's like, how could you not utilize these amazingly powerful tools? Dude, so they've got now there's like a trademarked form basically, but you can actually literally just drink ketones and straight up get like, yeah, there's different ones though. There's like the ketone salt powders, which those are kind of, in my opinion, a total miss because it's like another pre-workout type drink, super splendid up and like acetane, sulfate, potassium, all that garbage nonsense. But you can literally, I buy at the store. It's GT's brand. I don't know if you've ever had like their kombuchas they make, but they make these little shots that are literally grapefruit juice, which has some really cool benefits there, and then a little bit of aloe vera juice, and then ginseng, lion's mane mushroom, and then it's called 1,3-butreniadol or something. It's basically the bioavailable form of ketones that our bodies can use. So, uh, dude, I've seen these for a long time, but they're basically like ketone esters that you can drink and experience like, dude, it feels like your brain turns on instantly. It's nuts. My vision changes straight up.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's super interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, it's one of those things where like, yeah, dude, for sure, dude. It's so much of I guess the diet advice out there really that works is literally like ancestral wisdom. But then again, and I feel like people will use the word holistic to mean whatever they want it to mean, but holistic means looking at everything as a tool, not just some things. It means everything, everything. And that doesn't just go for diets or supplements. That goes literally everything in your life. And
Mm,
so once I adopted that, I mean, literally, it changed the game, you know? And so that's where incorporating things like peptides into my life. I mean, dude, there was a point where I fractured my foot. I was playing sand volleyball, you name it, football, across the board, frisbee, baseball, all of it. And literally, I found out about these things called peptides. Actually, I'd known about them, but rather they came back into my, perfect timing, of course, came back into my awareness. And I learned about the healing powers of BPC-157, body protection compound. 157, also commonly referred to as the Wolverine peptide. And dude, I'm telling you, the benefits lived up to their name. The hype definitely, dude, for me, it was instantly noticeable within 2 weeks. I'd healed. Literally, I had a fracture in the center of my left foot within 2 weeks, was back to playing sports every day. I actually resumed playing sports while using it. Had no problem at all. And it always stuck with me. I mean, I knew right away, I'm like, wow, these things are the future of medicine, like truly. Because, I mean, something like that normally would have had to gone to the doctor for, and who knows how much it would have cost me. But, for literally $100, healed my foot. And notice a bunch of other benefits too. Better sleep, my diet. I was actually off dairy during that whole keto phase and actually then going into carnivore for a while there as well. I stayed away from dairy during that whole time. Even before that, so probably looking at 4 years of no dairy. BPC 157 completely reset my dairy tolerance, and I was back to consuming dairy almost daily, in the form of raw cheeses, raw dairy, stuff like that. But extremely profound healing effects for me. And so I'm thankful to honestly now be able to provide it in an oral version. So the first time I took it, yeah, buddy, was an injectable, which nobody wants to do that, especially not on a daily basis. And so thank God, dude, that oral BPC 157 exists and that I'm now offering it to people. And I'm already having amazing results, dude. I've got a guy here in Florida who he's a firefighter and he's taking it and is noticing improved muscle recovery, like less soreness from working out. He's actually hopefully going to hook up the whole firehouse with it here shortly, but it's incredible. And yeah.
What's his name?
Oh, dude, I mean, he's not like, somebody,
No,
well,
but what is his name? John?
no,
Oh, okay. Because I know a
not John.
firefighter. I know a firefighter. Everybody named John, and I was curious if it was John.
Dude, of all the names, John, what's his last name? Doe? Come on,
No, no,
dude,
no.
what?
I don't want to. I
John?
don't want to say his last name.
Dude,
Just.
no, there's a ton of them, dude. There's like 40 firehouses down here, bro.
I know, but like
Nuts.
this one is in West Palm. It's actually a little bit south of West Palm. I
Okay.
forget where, like Okeechobee or something like that. So I don't know.
Gotcha.
I was just curious if it
Oh
was.
yeah, I'm sure. No, there's yeah. But and right now I've got some amateur fighters using it as well. So there's a lot of different use case scenarios for something like this. Most people are going to use it, well, ideally if they have an injury already present, but it is great if you even just want to experience way deeper sleep. For me personally, that's the biggest benefit I notice, and less soreness like from joints and stuff like that, less joint pain. They've actually shown, so they've basically cut the Achilles tendon of mice. And literally within like weeks of using BPC 157, it actually healed back way faster and way stronger. So if you put the picture next to each other, the muscles, the nerve fiber bundles in the group that was treated with BPC 157 is actually even better than baseline. So it actually came back even stronger than before.
Whoa, yeah.
Yeah.
BBC 157 is the real deal. I've used it.
Right.
It's legit. I've
Let's
done
go.
the I've done the injections from my
Oh, dude, that's
shoulder.
right.
I've done the oral. I got my dad on the oral for a while. My dad's had an oral. He had back problems and stuff. I had got him on BPC 157. It's legit. That stuff works.
Whoa, bro, I forgot about that, dude. That's insane. That's awesome, man.
Yeah. No,
That's super cool, dude.
that's real. I wonder.
Absolutely.
So earlier you mentioned like, or I had two questions.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
one comes first? Okay, so the other day, this is something that like just a little bit of a shift in topics, but the other day you and I were chatting and you mentioned so your social media intake's at like an all-time high. And the reason I say that is because mine is too. Mine is through the roof. I'm consuming way more than ever. I've recognized it's a vice. It's something I'm using to like cope with stress, I guess, with work and just trying to, I mean, just decompress a little bit. So the reason I bring all this up is I'm curious how you manage that with your business because your business involves social media and influencers and things like that. How do you manage the how do you manage the overconsumption on social media
Yeah.
with the business and then
Right.
adding all the stress? Like what do you do to manage it?
Go down to the beach, go on walks, go outside, get sunlight, eat good food, eat clean, take Shilajit, repeat. Literally. Dude, I mean, you hit the nail on the head, honestly. It's one of those things where, dude, it's really like it comes down to just being conscious in the moment of the choices that you're making. So, like, ever since that call, even telling you that, literally, I've just put my phone down, just more, try to at least, I still work part time during the day. And so for me, that's a good time to just kind of de-phone sensitize and just kind of be in the flow that way. But then also too, like when I go again down to the beach, phone's off. And that's kind of the whole point is, get in the water, splash around, like a fifth grader at summer camp or whatnot. But yeah, absolutely. So time management, as a business owner, especially, dude. I mean, I've experienced the worst, I guess it could get as a business owner, where I've missed key meetings. Completely unprofessional. Not recently, but in my past, you know, uh, things I'm ashamed of, truly. That really set back my own personal growth and just kind of showed me that I still had some growing up to do. So, you know, you got to be on time and really you got to just be good at managing your time, which, I'm not claiming to be great at, but
Yeah, I think it's something a lot of people struggle with, and I think it's something that a lot of people go through different seasons and shifts of being able to manage their time well and then not as well and then well. It's kind of like this quote, I'm not sure if I told you, but like we need to be reminded more than we need to be taught.
mm,
And it's just one of those things where you sometimes need to get the lesson, you need to get punched in the face, or you need to stub your toe a couple times you need to
yeah.
trip up the steps a couple times to finally catch yourself and eventually it may kick in, it may not. But yeah, that kind of leads me into like my next thing. Like, I don't know if you got like family down by you, but how do you manage a business with family? I don't know if you got a girlfriend, a second job. Like, how do you manage your time? I mean, like, do you use a calendar? Like, I mean, I'm assuming you may use a calendar, but like, no. It's like, how do you manage all these things you're doing with, essentially two jobs and just having a life? Like, how do you manage that?
Dude, I don't know. I really don't. I don't know. No, honestly, dude, I don't. I don't. I mean, dude, like, especially too, anybody who's started their own business knows you're wearing every hat every day, every single day of your life. And so it's like, dude, whatever comes up, I just have to address it head on. And so thankfully, like exercising for me really helps with that. Is just like overcoming any obstacle, any hurdle. However big, how small in your life, really facing it head on, addressing it directly, in a timely manner and, being also being respectful for your own sanity, having a cutoff time, making sure that you have time to just not think business or work or, so relationship wise, no, I'm not in a place right now to be able to sustain a real commitment like that. And my family, honestly, they are super happy for me. And so, they're back, they're all far away. I'll just put it like that. I'm from Iowa. So, they're back home and they know I'm doing my thing here. And so it's all good. And like you said, everything comes in seasons, This is just a phase of my life right now where I'm going through a growth phase. And that's how I look at it as. And, I am optimistic when it comes to like life trajectory in terms of like, there's going to be ups and downs, there's going to be peaks and there's going to be troughs. And, you just got to make the most of it while you're going through it because, well, there's going to be peaks and there's going to be troughs. So when there's trough, there's a peak coming. It's just not you're experiencing a trough. And so you just have to eat crap, for a little while. And so, but dude, literally, I mean, the first company I sold, I'll be the first to tell you, I knew it was going to be massively successful, but I was also I guess like you'd call it like I had the least amount of success in my life. I had just dropped out of school, just quit my job. No girlfriend, nothing like that. Like literally was just like, yeah, let's do it. We're doing this. And totally just went all in and, watched my life change in the blink of an eye and then that ran its course too. And I was able to successfully exit and, experience the benefits that come along with that. But here we are now. Obviously, like we've already mentioned, I do still uh have another supplement company and I also work. So I have two jobs right now concurrently. And so I'm doing a lot. I'm doing the most, you could say. But uh honestly, dude, what helps me and what I love so much about diet and learning about health and all this stuff is like, dude, the thyroid gland, well, first off, it's all connected, but the thyroid gland, especially, dude, controls your metabolism as most people know it. But, dude, your metabolism actually, your ability to create energy and send electrical signals throughout your body regulates your awareness, your ability to be self-aware, and literally like your fast twitch muscle fibers and all that, being able to contract and, move your muscles is incredibly increased when you are optimized metabolically. And so, I look at it as being enhanced consciousness wise, like and having the ability to have more bandwidth for more throughput. And for me, like, dude, I would not be able to keep up if I was eating sloppy joes and ham. Like, dude, there'd be no way, So for me, dude, I make the most of what I've got. And that's not only physically, but mentally and spiritually as well. I feel like two aspects a lot of people don't think about, and, you know, we could talk about that.
Yeah, we can jump into that. Alluding off of what you were just saying though, it sounds like you almost de-optimize some of the things that you're doing. I know we've talked about this too. And it's kind of funny
Yeah,
because
dude, sorry, I'm laughing
oh,
off camera. Oh man, that's so good. Yes,
yeah,
yes,
okay, yeah. On a side note, your laugh is contagious. Like whenever you laugh, I feel like I laugh, and I don't know if my laugh's contagious, but I feel like we feed off each other.
dude. I
Um,
think everybody listening right now is laughing. This is great. Yeah, more of this,
I
honestly.
hope so. I mean,
Yeah,
that's if that's the least we could do, make somebody just have a laugh.
yeah. It's a
So
comedy podcast, obviously, guys. Come on, get with it. No.
yeah, yeah. I don't even know what just happened there. I just had like a little like I just like malfunctioned.
Yup, exactly, dude. Exactly, bro.
So
100%.
you were talking about like basically like de-stressing, and a lot of the de-stressing is almost unplugging, unplugging or I mean I said de-optimize earlier.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely.
I guess I was alluding to like it's something I definitely relate to there,
Mhm.
and I'm curious. I think a lot of people probably relate to that
Mhm.
because it's yeah, I mean, just stress
Hmm.
in general, like at a certain point, you have to unplug, you have to de-optimize, you have to pull back, you have to not worry about the grass-fed beef, you have to not worry about um the seed oils. Like I mean, not to say like you should be drinking Gatorade, but like at a certain point, it's like you need to unlearn you need to pretend or almost unlearn what you already know and almost relearn something new. But like,
Yeah, yeah. No, for sure, dude. Honestly, it comes like literally at a certain point, it can become information overload. And whether that be through chronic social media consumption, constantly being involved in drama, um, at a certain point, you just have to let go. And that can be the hardest thing sometimes is just letting go and allowing life to take its course, and all we can do is try to chart a course as best we can for what's to come. And so, I think it's very easy to see why most like weekend culture is extremely, I mean, personally, I can't stand it, but I get it, especially still working a job. I get why, people look forward to the weekends because it's time to just ultimately relax. And a lot of people go outside and then they feel a lot better from not being inside all day at work. And so, yeah, but you know what, man? Like, dude, that's why we got to keep, you know, ourselves and everybody else around us, informed. And information is key. I believe that if people had all the information, they would make the right choice. But unfortunately, there's just a lot of bad information out there. And, I'm not going to claim to be the source of all knowing. Like, no. As I've already mentioned to several times on this, is that I've been absolutely humiliated because of my own doing. And so, yeah, but dude, I really appreciate, these hard hitting topics and just these hard truths sometimes to swallow that, the best pill is sometimes just none, the best, diet advice is none, sometimes it's just better to just trust your gut, go with your gut instinct and because I feel like if you're just waiting for the perfect moment to arise where, you feel like, you know, you're finally going to be okay, it's not going to come. You just have to be okay with not being okay, which is, you know, just coming to find that place where, I guess, I don't know if you want to call it like an awakening or whatnot, or like a self-realization, but that there's this aspect of you that no matter how much dieting you do, no matter how many supplements you take, uh, you're gonna be fine. Like, dude, you know what I mean? Um,
yeah, life is this constant input, and you're learning and you're getting answers, and you're getting all this information. And sometimes, like you're saying, life is learning and unlearning, asking questions and getting answers, and then kind of just reverting back to letting go. What
right,
what
exactly.
what helps you let go, Noah?
Oh man, dude. I mean, we've named a lot of them. A few to mention are going on walks, getting grounded, being barefoot. It's definitely depends on your location. So relative to me, going to the beach, getting in the
Mm.
ocean. I'm from Midwest, so going for walks, getting exercise, going on a run, maybe running some sprints. Those things for sure help. I think reading has a place as well. And so does, I think social, if you can manage it, social media does definitely have a place too. As well as too, if you enjoy, certain things, certain shows. That's not my thing personally. I don't have any shows, and that's crazy to some people. But I just, like we've already mentioned, I got a lot going on. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
how that's what does it for me.
No,
What
that
about
makes
you?
mm,
Yeah,
prayer,
nice.
reading, walks, letting my phone die, and then spending time having conversations with good people, like having soul-filling conversations, I
Mhm.
think helps me pull back and almost like get a different perspective. Like,
Mhm.
shift shift my mindset a little bit.
Mhm.
But a lot of the things you're saying too, for sure. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, that I'm just piggybacking off of what you said.
Right, right, right. Yeah. No,
So
100%. Absolutely. That's great.
yeah, yeah. So that's that's kind of like that's kind of how I like de-optimize, unplug, and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But I also try to remind myself I'm human. I'm not perfect. If I if I eat out, if I you know if I overconsume, if I say the wrong thing, it's okay. Just give myself grace. I think that's a big thing that I've been trying to do lately. Like slow down. Like I was saying earlier, like let my phone die. I write sometimes. I try to pray. And yeah, a lot of that just helps me just like regroup. I mean, getting a good sleep, obviously, and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
those are the primary things on top of what you were saying.
Absolutely. I love that, man. Well, this has been
Yeah.
great, man.
Yeah, this has been pretty awesome. So I appreciate your time. I appreciate the conversation, and we got to do it again.
Absolutely. Likewise, brother. Everything you said, everybody watching, thank you so much. Has been awesome.
Sweet. Thank you, friends. I appreciate you guys. Thank you, Noah. And take a deep breath on unplug if you need to. And we'll see you next time.